Since the beginning of warfare, the basis of armed conflict has not changed. It is still man against man, moving foot by foot to achieve the final confrontation, because no machine of war ever devised can capture and hold ground by itself. This is the foot soldier's domain, especially in Vietnam today, where savagely hostile terrain is commonplace. Down through the centuries of war, firepower made remarkable progress, but the foot soldier's mobility did not keep pace. While horses have been used for 5,000 years, they have so many limitations that the frustrated Greeks conceived Pegasus, a mythical horse with wings who could soar high over the rocky hills of Greece. Today in Vietnam, that ancient dream is realized. Mobility and firepower are now balanced. The United States Army and the Marine Corps have a modern Pegasus in volume, fleets of helicopters which leap ground barriers as readily as their mythical predecessor. Revolutionary new air mobile techniques have, for the first time, given the battle commander the ability to place troops quickly and precisely in the strength he needs to prevail, to react instantly and effectively to the guerrilla actions characteristic of this strange war, one with no front lines, only pockets of hostility separated by scores of miles of forbidding terrain. The enemy can pop up practically anywhere, and usually does. He can only be beaten at his own game of hit and run by air mobility. Immediate response by helicopter-borne troops can surround and crush the enemy before he can melt back into the jungle. The workhorse in the military helicopter stable is the Army's CH-47 Chinook. While the UH-1D, the familiar Huey, is the squad carrier, the Chinook is the platoon carrier, transporting up to 44 fully equipped troops to the battle zone. In a mercy roll, the evacuation of casualties, it lifts out up to 24 litter cases and the walking wounded. And in another, now classic mercy roll, it once carried 147 Vietnamese men, women, and children in a single flight, along with their pigs, ducks, chickens, and other possessions. When troops need artillery support in Vietnam combat actions, they better get it in a hurry, because the call says the battle odds are rugged. That's why units of Chinooks are on constant alert with 105mm howitzers and gun crews, ready to hook up and go at the first summons for help. In minutes, they spot the gun and crew, plus the ammo, and in a few minutes more, the 105 is barking out. Artillery support is one of the Chinook's prime missions, and with this kind of responsiveness available, the troop commander can be more aggressive, can push closer to his limits, knowing that the Chinooks are only a radio call away. Fuel distribution is another facet of the Chinook's resupply duties. These cells carry 500 gallons of fuel and weigh 3,500 pounds each, but are easily lifted to remote sites, several at a time. Since military aircraft gulp fuel in enormous quantities, the hooks, as the Chinooks are nicknamed, keep up a daily shuttle to outlying bases, hour after hour, so the Hueys and other Chinooks can stay up forward and do their job. Hence, the fuel goes to the aircraft instead of the aircraft to the fuel. Now, take the problem of battlefield mobility, where vehicles such as a Jeep or Army mule are highly useful on a local basis. They're airlifted externally on the cargo hook or in the cabin, whichever is more convenient. This vehicle was even preloaded with supplies ready to move right out as soon as it offloads. The engineers also benefit from air mobility, bulldozers partially stripped for Chinook delivery. With reinstallation of the tracks, they're ready for use to carve out a forward airstrip or establish a camp. Bringing these bulldozers to the scene by surface means would be impractical, as the Viet Cong controls so much of the terrain. The length of our supply lines to Southeast Asia puts a high premium on equipment, so salvage rates top priority. Here again, in terrain that is often roadless and roads often unusable, airlift is the norm. Few places are inaccessible to the helicopter, and the Chinook has ample capacity to lift a downed Huey intact and transport it safely back to a repair base, secure from the ambushes and mines of road transport. As of May 1967, Chinooks had recovered more than $330 million worth of disabled aircraft. Further, 3/4 of these aircraft will be repaired in the theater and will fly again. The Marine Corps counterpart of the Chinook is the CH-46 Sea Knight, slightly smaller but equally effective for its size. The Sea Knight's primary role is in assault missions, to transport combat-equipped Marine squads from amphibious landing vessels or base camps to unprepared attack points behind a beachhead. Shuttling back and forth, the Sea Knight brings squad after squad of Marines ashore and then turns to a support role, shuttling supplies and equipment to keep the combat elements going. Very similar in basic configuration to the Chinook, the Sea Knight also has a rear loading ramp to accommodate vehicles up to Jeep size. When manpower is available, smaller items such as ammo boxes can be handled in short order through the walk-in rear opening. The Sea Knights are also adept at salvage operations, such as retrieving downed CH-34s and other aircraft with their cargo hooks. The Sea Knight's hook is just as versatile as the Chinooks for hauling pallet loads, artillery, and vehicles. Indeed, this is a familiar sight in the skies around Da Nang. The Sea Knight also serves the U.S. Navy, now operating with the fleets in both the Mediterranean and Pacific. UH-46s are providing an invaluable service of quick delivery of high-priority items in a mission known as vertical replenishment. Flying from the aft deck of supply ships, they operate day and night, resupplying other vessels while underway. Much of their activity in the Pacific Fleet is in support of Vietnam operations. These two Boeing helicopters are now produced in greatly improved versions, such as this CH-47B in full production and delivery since May of 1967. This B model has the same basic airframe as the CH-47A, but several important improvements have been added. A blunt end on the aft pylon to increase directional stability. Strakes on the aft end of the fuselage, and on the rear ramp to improve the airflow. Cambered blades of greater chord and radius for improved lift and speed performance, and a modified rotor head to carry them. 200 horsepower has been added to each T-55 engine, providing a reserve of particular advantage to Army pilots operating in the hot temperatures and altitudes encountered in Southeast Asia. Collectively, all these improvements bring greatly enhanced performance. The B model's payload is as much as 7.5 tons, and its speed is increased by 20% or more. The Sea Knight, the CH-46D, also in full production, has undergone a similar transformation. With new cambered blades and more powerful engines, its hot day payload is 65% higher, and speed at 5,000 feet is up by 25%. Such are the progressive steps made to improve air mobility, vitally needed now in Vietnam, where the helicopter is basic to assault and logistic operations, especially in areas where ground mobility is the victim of topography and the enemy. A whole new way to fight a war has been born, and with it, perhaps, a way to an early peace.